Oh, okay.
Okay. Hello all. Welcome to Sonali's book club. Today we're doing a live reading of the book Different. So we have the author Neeha Gupta, and we're joined by actor and author herself, Soha Ali Khan. I'm so excited to be filling in for my mom today. I'm glad it's in the company of Neha, who's a really young and successful author already. And I mean, she wrote this book when she was 15, which is pretty amazing, according to me. So, and also I'd like to welcome Soha.
Thank you.
Okay, so Soha, first let me start by asking you, what did you like the best about the book Different?
I have to say that, thank you, Ranveer, firstly. It's really exciting to be here with the both of you. I'm a great fan of books and of literature, and to be with such young and intelligent people who love reading is very exciting for me. When I got the book, actually, I didn't read it for a while. It was lying on my bookshelf because, you know, one has so many things to do. And then I was boarding a flight to Bangalore, and I put it in my handbag. It's an hour, 20-minute flight, and I thought I can do some reading. And all the way there and all the way back, I actually completed the book in 2 sittings. It's so readable, which is a good thing for a book. It grips you because it does have thrilling qualities to it. There's suspense. It's very relatable. And actually, what I enjoyed about it is because people have stories to tell, but how you tell that story is what distinguishes you as a good writer and a good author. And I like to read books that have, authors that have a good grasp of the English language. And you have a great vocabulary. The way you write, your attention to grammar, it was all really good. So I was very impressed. And mainly, it was a gripping story where you're reading it through to the end. So that's what I loved about it.
Thank you, Soha, for sharing your thoughts on the book. It was an interesting perspective on reading as a whole also. So moving on to the author herself, Neha.
Yes.
So I want you to read us your favorite part from the book, like a chapter. So
Sure. So I don't particularly have a favorite part of the book, but what I'm going to do is read out the first chapter to set the context here so that everyone who's watching can just read from where I leave off.
You can read the whole book also if you want.
Okay. So here goes. The first chapter, Who Am I? Being from another planet is hard. Being thrown into a new one before you even come to your wits is even harder. There's an entire universe out there with 225 billion galaxies, each galaxy containing tens of thousands of solar systems. Your solar system alone, the Milky Way, has 7 other planets. I'm not even touching the multiverse theory here, which talks about a hypothetical set of possible universes existing at the same time. I, for one, felt deceived when I learned that my planet wasn't the only one where life existed. My name is Nicole Grace. I'm from Britain, a planet in your neighboring galaxy, Andromeda. The day I turned 4, my parents sent me off to your planet. Things were pretty different on Britain. Firstly, the whole concept of day and night didn't exist at all. Back in Britain, we lived very differently. Another thing that seriously put me off was the concept of time. Honestly, what is time? All you earthlings depend all the time on a few random set of numbers. A pair of pointy arrow sticks in a circle won't tell you what to do. Um, Time is just an indefinite continued progress of existence and events, not a set of numbers that rule your life, by Jove. Lastly, robbing me of my freedom was gravity. Being stuck to the ground all the time doesn't help at all. That said, Earth's advantages outweigh its disadvantages. Alas, this planet is my home now as well. At the tender age of 4, I was literally thrown onto planet Earth in Protect. Now that's a bubble-shaped object, an interstellar travel contraption that doesn't exist here. It protected me from hitting face first into the hard crust of this planet and being squished to a puddle of gloop. I was then adopted by a kind woman in Mumbai, India, whom I grew to love, depend on, and share a plethora of fond memories with. Aunt Riggy taught me the ways of this planet. This got me through nursery, middle school, which wasn't easy, trust me. During the latter, I took to English like a fish to the water. I became an avid reader and was considered pretty much the smartest kid in school. It turns out that I was better at English than most earthlings, but I just had to credit my alien brain for that, because back in Britain, our language capabilities were fully developed by the age of 2. We had built-in superprocessor chips and vast data storage capacity. Now I was 14 and all set for high school. So when my aunt told me that I was now being sent to the prestigious Juliet High, I was thrilled. It was one of the most reputed schools of the country, and getting an opportunity to study there was one I was going to grasp with great fervor. The school was townside, a 30-minute train ride away. It was a global school which attracted the best students from all corners of the world. Because of that, I had more to learn, new cultures, and more of this planet's surprises. A little bit about me. My mind races at the speed of light. I come from a planet where we download food and don't have emotions. I like keeping myself busy to keep my brain occupied and rarely speak to others. Now, I knew I was getting into high school and things were going to be different, something new. But to what extent? Oh, I had no clue. Hoping to learn, have fun, and discover this planet was all I had in mind. Little did I know that life had other plans for me.
That was lovely.
Yeah, that was really great. It's actually one of my favorite parts from the book.
Thank you.
So let's move on to Neha now again. So the book talks a lot about high school and friendship. So can you share with us some interesting stories from your real life and high school?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, I'd like to say that my friends are amazing. I truly love the people who I consider my friends. And this is a really interesting story that my book launch happened on 21st December 2017. On 22nd December, we had a ad math and literature exam. That's my 10th grade mock exams. So I hadn't taken any of these subjects, so my exams got over on 21st. But some of my friends who had 2 exams the next day or even 1 exam the next day came to my book launch at 8 in the night despite the fact that they had a paper the next day. So that was a great act of support. And even while writing the book, so the characters like Ayush, Dylan, Sarah, Amanda, all these people while writing the book are real people in my head. Now, obviously, everything I've written isn't true, but I would say to some extent that the book is an exaggerated, dramatic version of my real life last year.
So yeah. Wow, that's really interesting. So moving on to Soha now. So Soha, what do you think about the book's title? How important do you think is it for kids to stand out in a crowd?
I think, just first listening to Neha read, you can tell that a little bit of the character is based on you, especially now since you told me you do advanced maths. It's so well researched also, I have to say, the book, in terms of the attention to detail you've given to all the stuff that I don't understand, like rocket science. And you've really, presumably all of it is real to an extent as well. Like, you've thought about how to travel to space in an economical way. And just to be able to do that at your age and even write it down in a hypothetical way is, I think, it displays a lot of intelligence.
Thank you.
I've, of course, forgotten the question that Ranveer asked me. Do you want to ask me again so that I can answer the question?
Sure, yeah. So of course the book's title
Different. Yes.
So what do you
Yeah.
think about the title, and how important do you think it is for kids to be different?
I think that the book's title and the book's cover are very arresting. I like the fact that it is bold. It's, the font is bold, the colors are bold, it's yellow and black and white, and it grabs your attention when it's on the bookshelf. As well as the title is interesting because it is about being different, and it embraces the fact that everyone is different. And I do vaguely remember what it's like to be in high school. I have to remove the cobwebs from my mind, but I do remember that it is a difficult place to, where you want to blend in. You don't really want to stand out. You don't want to be noticed because then people pick on you as well. What I loved about Neha's book is that she talks about a particular aspect where, for the first time, the character Nicole goes into the school, and she's asked to explain the value of pi. And she goes up, and she's very excited, and she goes up and she does a wonderful presentation about it. And whereas in normal movies and books, you would have people alienate her for being such a nerd or for being so intelligent, here the class is impressed by her and accepts her. And everyone is accepted for being different and special, having something that is unique to them. And the fact that, this institution, her friends, she herself being so different, manages to come to terms to that, I think is a wonderful thing for people to read and to feel included by. So, on so many levels. Nicole, of course, is an alien, but on so many levels, all of us do feel very alien, of course, especially in that high school phase. So to talk about this again, I thought you did really well.
Thank you.
That was really interesting and really well said.
Thank you.
So now we have a little game for both of you guys. So
Oh,
so I'm going to start off a sentence and you both can try and complete it. Okay.
okay.
So I'll ask you both the same
Can
one.
we start with Neha?
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Oh, you can ask the same question?
Yeah, it's going to be the
Oh,
same one.
great.
for
Then
both of
ask
you.
Neha so then I'll have time to think about it.
Sure, okay, that works. Neha, so I woke up and found out I was an alien.
I'd find out what my superpower is.
Okay, so I woke up and found out I was an alien, and I then found out my superpowers.
That would be my first step, yes.
Okay,
So I woke up and found out I was an alien and realized that I was suddenly very heavy and glued to so many things and that I had to fight gravity, which didn't exist where I came from. My sentence is a lot longer and clumsier than Neha's.
okay, second sentence.
Are we getting points for this, or is there like a prize at the end?
I don't know, do you want there to be a prize?
No, because then I get very competitive. So can we just like not have points?
Fun
Okay,
and
great.
games,
Yeah,
fun and
lovely.
games. Okay, so the second sentence I want you to try and complete is, if I had a superpower, what would it be?
To read others' minds.
Interesting one.
But do you really want to know? Sometimes you hear like you'll know things you don't want and you wish that you didn't know.
I'd like to have an overall perspective.
Nice. So,
I would like the ability to, especially in a city like Mumbai, teleport myself and to be in different places at different times so that I can multitask better.
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan. Let's work on it.
Okay. So, again, this is the last one that I want you guys to do. Okay, Neha. So, what makes you different?
What makes me different, I think, is that things always go my way. Somehow, I think luck follows me around. I'd like to believe that. Yeah.
Okay, so, Soha, what makes you different?
I want to be able to say that one. But A, I don't even think it's true. I wish it was. I think, we are all different. My unique DNA is what makes me different. Each of us over here is inherently different. We just have to learn to embrace that.
That's really interesting.
Thank you.
And about the DNA part, I did not think about that. I thought it was going to be a more generic answer, but
Oh, yeah, no, mine is scientific. I thought I should
Yeah.
also be scientific.
yeah. Okay, so, yeah, let's, Soha,
Oh, yes.
do you want to talk about some stuff
Some
about
stuff
children?
about but I want to talk about lots of things. I think that I was so excited to be here because, you're relatively young compared to me, but yet, and you probably read more than me. I was talking to Ranveer actually before we started doing this, and you've read 3 books this week. That's 3 more than I've read this year. So, it's
Tried to
Yeah.
read.
You tried to read them. Yeah, okay. So, the fact that you love reading, the both of you, that you're fans of literature is what excites me. That's what I want to see in my daughter as well, who's, of course, all of 13 months. But I think she's already excited, which is why I brought her here a little bit earlier, to show her for the first time, what a bookstore is and to be surrounded by books. I think it's really important for us in a digital era, an area where people are learning also through television, to continue reading books. I think it really sparks the imagination because you imagine everything on paper. In fact, sometimes I have to reread things and I have to, I find my mind wandering and imagining what it would be like, creating the character. Nicole looks, to me, I'm sure in a different way to what she looks to you or Ranveer. The characters, the planets, we bring our own interpretation into it. As an author, you write a book and then the audience makes it their own. I think when you're making a film, it's the director's story, and it remains the director's story, and people also, just absorb it like that. I think there's a lot more sharing in literature. So as I said, I think it sparks creativity. It, of course, helps you grasp the English language or any language that you're writing in better, which is, why are you taking my coffee away from me? I'm feeling insecure. Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, that's why I'm very happy to be here. And I think it's incredible that, again, at the age of 14, 15, you managed to write your story. I think each of us has a story in us, and what distinguishes writers from non-writers is that writers are just less lazy. You have the discipline to actually
True.
get down and put pen to paper or fingertip to, keyboard, whatever. But, your book's coming out next.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So Neha, another question for you. So, what inspired you to write a book at such a young age?
So before I answer that, I'd like to really congratulate Soha ma'am, if I may add,
No, please don't add.
for your book, which has been nominated for the Crossword Awards, and thank you for being here as well.
No,
It means a lot.
thank you.
So sorry, what was the question?
The question, yeah.
So the question. So what inspired you to write a book at such a young age, 15?
So I'd like to say that I've always wanted to write a book. Like at all points in my life since I existed, I wanted to write a book. And different has not been my first attempt to write a book. So when I was say 12 years old, I had a WordPress blog on which I was writing this book called WizKids. And this book was also a work of science fiction, but with time I grew out of that plot and I never really completed that book. But what I learned through WizKids was that so this is say 2 years ago, if you would talk to me, I'd come across as I wouldn't come across as a confident person. I was more, relatively much more shy than what I am today. And what I realized that through writing, I can exactly express what I'm thinking and when I'm talking, sometimes what I want to say and what I say are completely different. So I think my desire to write a book, my desire to express myself, converged into the idea of different. Yeah, I'd say that.
I have a question for the both of you, if I may. I thought I'd ask Ranveer, if you, since I've already, asked you to write a book and announced the fact that you might be writing a book soon, if you were to write a book, who do you think you would write about?
So, while I was on a flight, I actually saw this really interesting documentary. It's called Generation Wealth. So it's basically by this lady, Lauren Greenfield. So she's an American artist and a documentary photographer and a filmmaker, of course, a documentary filmmaker. So she had this. So she grew up in California, in Beverly Hills, and we all know that's where the glam is.
Yeah.
So she basically took the pictures at a very young age. So she used to take pictures all around. So her friends were the rich kids in California,
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian and all of them.
Oh, wow.
She was in that batch. So she took photos of hanging out with them, and she turned it into this documentary about how kids who lived like that back then are now affected now when they're 20, 21, and how they reflect back. And I feel like she told really interesting story through pictures.
Yeah.
So she took pictures and investigated them and then took interviews. I thought it was really interesting, and I really wanted to, and I think that if I would write a book, it would be about her and diving deeper into her story.
Nice. And Neha, have you thought about writing another book? And what that might be about or who that might be based on?
Well, so I have thought of writing another book. So what happened was actually when my book initially released, that was 21st December, and my board exams were in February. So that was like 2 months I had.
Oh God.
So after different, I sort of started headlong. I dived into studying for my boards. But after they got over, I did start writing this book where I talk about the identities of two people switching and something along those lines. Now, for the good or bad, I think 4 days ago, Netflix released this new movie with Vanessa Hudgens. It's called The Princess Switch. Now, the plot of that is dangerously close to what I have written so far in my draft. So I may have to go back and change a few things. But I'd like to take the whole thing positively and go with the attitude that great minds think alike. So Netflix, so yes.
No, it's true. Actually, when you have an idea, whether it's a film or a book, it's important to get that in motion because somebody else will come out with it before you know it. Can I ask another question? Or am I hijacking your show?
Sure.
I wanted to ask if maybe you could write a foreword for Neha's book. Along what lines would that be?
I mean, am I qualified enough? I think
I
you
think-
should be ready.
I think you are qualified as someone who is in high school as opposed to me who's, whatever. I went to high school a long time ago.
Okay, so I feel like, so I feel like it's basically a 3-word answer for me. Okay, so short and simple. I feel like I would basically say about how you should live your life different, and stress on the word different as she has many times. And
That was 7 words. Continue.
I'm sorry. Okay, let me shorten
Advanced
it down.
mathematician.
Yeah. So let me just shorten it down for you. Then Science Geek, WizKid, Alien, all in one creates a really amazing book, and I feel like it's a really great read and keeps you hooked.
Thank you.
I agree. I think that was very well said.
Thank you.
Okay. If I were to probably, this is a question I get asked a lot, and it's that if someone would want to become an author, like what was like the toughest challenge that I faced to becoming to writing a book, or to even like what do you need to write a book? I would actually give an answer which I don't expect people would normally say, is that you don't need good English to write a book. I mean, your English has to be in place. You can't say something wrong. You is okay. So all that needs to be in place. But I'd say more than your grammar, it's your perseverance. Like your persistence. You need to stay put and keep writing it. Because I'm pretty sure there are many people who've had an idea of a book, never tried writing it. There are many people who've tried writing a book but never completed it. So I think staying stuck to your idea and actually having the perseverance to complete it is what is like the most important thing needed to be an author or write a book.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Soha. So you've been a Oxford alumnus, and you've written many books. You've read a lot of books yourself. So yeah. So does my book remind you of any other writers or any authors that you've probably or any book that you've read before?
I have to say that I haven't read a lot of sci-fi as a genre. But in terms of if you take the content out of it, if you take the fact that it's set or that she's an alien, if I cast my mind back to, again, when I was at high school, I used to read a lot of books by an author called Judy Blume. And she used to write in the first, I mean, there was a lot of confidence in her writing, and her characters also dealt with issues of acceptance and coming into their own, and also in a first-person narrative would speak. So you felt like you were getting an insight into the sort of the darkest recesses of their mind and their deepest insecurities. So in terms of that relatability, it struck me like that. But apart from that, I would say that, of all the authors that I've read growing up, I think that your voice is very unique in many ways, because you've managed to blend so many different things, whether it's, as I said, that style of writing, but talking about something which is scientifically very advanced, and to have actually done all the research to back that up. You said that it's not important to have good grammar and to have a good vocabulary to write a book, but I enjoy a book when it is written well as well, and when it expands your vocabulary, and when sometimes you have to look up the dictionary or the thesaurus to see what something means. You're learning something from it as well. So I would like to say that apart from a few similarities, your voice is very unique.
Thank you again. Yeah. I also have another question for the audience or any of y'all, which is, if you were to meet any one of the characters of Different, what would you say to them? Go ahead.
I have an answer. So I think I would like to meet Aunt Riggy. Aunt Riggy. I mean, I would love to go to a place and eat those crispy looking golden brown colored spongy circles with a yellow gooey blob on top.
Yeah.
Would love to eat one of those with her. And I feel like she's really helped Nicole in a way that nobody else did, and accepted her for who she is. And I feel like that really impacted me to see that, with all the wrong going on in the world, there's always going to be one person who will always be there for you, and that, really struck a chord.
Yeah, I want to steal that. I want to steal that answer. Can I steal that answer?
Unique. I need a different one. Yeah.
Okay, then to turn it on its head, I want to meet Grodd, because if, Aunt Ricky is about saving the world, he's about, he's sort of as close to the evil person in the book that you can get to. And I would want to ask him, why he's like that, what motivates him, and also, the fact that he didn't think about the fact that, this was going to be in the family name, like when it came through, and the fact that he thought about it from such a uniquely selfish perspective, he would have still got the credit. And I would have liked to grill him on that.
Different thought.
Okay, thank you all so much. Sohan, Neeha, thank you for taking time out and doing this for my mom's book club. And thank you all for tuning in live. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.